Now, sexual misconduct perpetrated by teachers is on the rise. Professor Jaco Barkhuizen says it's time to call it what it really is, and that's rape or statutory rape. It's reported that over 170 teachers have been embroiled in allegations of sexual misconduct in the last 5 years. Of these, 87 were fired and 86 others walked free. Now, Barkhuizen has penned an interesting piece on sexual misconduct in schools. He's the head of the Criminology department, the University of Limpopo. He's joining us now virtually for more. Professor, good afternoon. So call a spade a spade. Let's stop using sexual misconduct when it comes to these offences perpetrated by teachers in our schools. It is rape and statutory rape, or statutory rape. Why is this important?
The Sexual Offences Act, the amended Sexual Offences Act, is very clear on what is sexual offences. And if you look at the power imbalance between a teacher and a student, let's stop calling things or sugarcoat things. What is happening is rape. It's forms of rape and sexual exploitation of learners. This whole thing of sexual misconduct, it sanitizes something that is actually extremely abhorrent and actually very, very wrong. But we like to use sanitizing language to make us feel better, but we shouldn't. Children and learners are sexually exploited. They are either statutory raped or raped by educators. And like I said, it's a power imbalance. An educator, we trust an educator.
Yeah, and in that,
when we deliver our kids to schools, that nothing bad.
Yeah, so there's an obligation, therefore, you say, by us, including in the media, to really be mindful of that power relationship, which is so imbalanced against the people, and call these incidents of sexual misconduct what they actually are all the time when they're reported.
That is correct. That is correct. We need to actually be so worried about this increase of teachers. And then what happens after a teacher gets fired? Are they put on the sex offender registry? And if they are, do schools have access? Do you feel safe knowing that the teacher that's hired was not background checked on the sexual offences registry? What if this person commits another act again?
Yeah, you said if they are on the register. Are you suggesting that they should be on the register, the alleged perpetrators of sexual misconduct, or be it rape or statutory rape in our schools? Are you arguing that they should be listed on the National Sex Offender Register?
If they're found guilty, yes. Because they already been found guilty of statutory rape or rape of a person, of a child. We need to protect our children. In a country like South Africa, where GBV, like you just did a story about GBV and how we're failing to address that, we need every instrument to protect the vulnerable. And if that means that people that exploit children needs to go on the sex offender registry to protect other children and other learners, then so be it.
Yeah, but I see the department in some reports, the Department of Education, for example, in Gauteng, being quoted that they are taking internal action. Of the 173 teachers that we are reporting about with allegations of sexual misconduct, 87 were dismissed after disciplinary processes were conducted. Now, if they were dismissed, it means they might have been found to be guilty, and you are saying there's a further step to that in terms of the register. Just dismissing them and letting them go is not enough. Hi, Prof. Are you there? I think
That
our
is
connection.
correct. It's not enough.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, Prof. We lost you there for a short while. You can start answering that now.
Okay. Like I said, then the Department of Basic Education in Gauteng is also not following the correct reporting procedures, because if these teachers were found guilty, they should have been charged, or should have been charged at the police so the NPA could investigate further. Just dismissing them is basically just pushing the problem away. These guys were found guilty by the department, so they should have been also charged, or a charge laid against them.
Are you suggesting, sorry, Prof, to come in, are you suggesting that the school itself, where a teacher is being dismissed after disciplinary processes for sexual misconduct, the school should lay the charge, or is it up to the parents of the pupil?
The school should lay the charge, or the Department of Basic Education should lay the charge, because they are in charge of that teacher. They're the persons that pay that teacher, that employed that teacher. They have a duty of care to all other students and the parents. That's what I was talking about, a duty of care. And if they do not, then they're failing in their duty of care.
Yeah, so it's a really, you are calling for a really hard line, or harsh rather, implementation of dealing with the increasing sexual misconduct in our schools. Is there anything else, Professor Barkhuizen, that you're thinking can be done? Because this scourge of sexual misconduct in our schools is increasing.
Well, we need to background check better our teachers. We need to realize that teaching is a calling. We need to incentivize teachers so that there's better teachers, or teachers with a passion for teaching. And we need to get rid of those that use teaching just as a form to get money and exploit children. And we need to speak out about sexual exploitation and stop using sanitized language for what it actually is, rape and statutory rape. And we need to educate our kids. No means no. Not every adult is as good as mom and dad. Speak out if an adult makes you feel uncomfortable. In a country like South Africa, that's one of the few things that we still have control over, and that's our voices, and we need to use our voices clearly.
Yeah, and I guess the fairness in the process on both sides will be important. But what are your thoughts, Prof, as we conclude, about how to assist the people themselves? Because there must be a lot of trauma and fear and anxiety.
Exactly. Remember, it's a power imbalance. So usually pupils are very afraid to speak out for fear of retribution by the teacher or the schools or the governing body or whoever. So there needs to be a reporting mechanism, an independent reporting mechanism, and also social workers, psychologists, and victimologists connected to a Department of Education, to schools that can deal with the trauma and the post-traumatic stress that these kids will go through when they are exploited by an adult in a position of